Hi, I'm Allison Pryor and I teach acrylic paintings for the beginner, step by step in real time, so you can follow along with me. So the first thing you want to do to get this painting started, this Halloween acrylic painting, is to get a canvas 11 by 14 or whatever size you want and paint the whole background red. And to make your moon, all you have to do is get yourself some kind of a round object, which could be a tin, could be anything that's round, and set it up where you want your moon. And you want to leave lots of room on the sides, just so that you can have room for your witch and your house and your cat. And then you take a piece of chalk and make your moon just by getting it the way you want it, and then just go around your round object. Make a nice round moon. Good. Now, there we go. See? Pretty simple. Now, a Filbert brush like this, synthetic chiseled edge, would be good to use, because then you can get around the circle. Okay? So what we're going to do, the reason I did the whole background red was because it makes it much easier to work around the circle. Now you only have to work around the inside instead of trying to work around the outside and the inside. So it speeds up the process and it works pretty good. So sometimes you do your background, you may need 2 coats. With the white paint, this will bring a nice white background to your moon, and then we'll put the yellow on after. So we want to get a nice, because the red might come through, we'll just do white first and get all the white on, and then we'll put yellow on, and that will be a nice basis for your yellow. So there we go, we have a nice white background for our yellow. So let that dry completely, and then we'll put our yellow over it. So next, when that's all dry, you can put your yellow on. So any color yellow that you have there, nice and bright. If it's not bright enough, just add a bit of white to it. But you want it nice and yellow. So you can put some white in there just to opaque it a bit too also, right? There we go. And you do the same thing. Put your yellow over your white. You might need 2 coats depending on how bright you want your yellow. There we go. So yes, put the white in with the yellow, I think would be better. Unless your yellow is opaque already. If you're using 2 paints, they might be nice and thick and opaque, but I'm adding a bit of white to mine just to keep it a little brighter. Nice and bright. There we go. I may do 2 coats. Like I say, it depends on how bright you want your moon. There we go. That's coming along. So these chalk marks on the outside, you can take them out with a damp brush when you're ready. So you might want to keep working on the edges there till you get them perfect the way you want them, nice and round. There we go. Just take your time. Get the edges nice and round. Good. Now to give it a bit of an eerie look, because it is Halloween, I'm going to mix up a little bit of purple. Now you can have your own purple already pre-mixed, or you can make up some by adding red and blue together. Get a nice purple. Nice and dark. A little bit on the red side, so a little bit more red than blue. And I'm just going to take my same brush. I got a Filbert synthetic. I'm just going to add a little bit of dark in the corners here. Just a touch. I'm just going to touch and pull in. Touch and pull in. Touch and pull in. Just a little bit. You don't have to do this if you like it the way it is, but just thought I would show it to you anyway. Just a little bit here and there. Good. A little bit of darkness up here. Gives it kind of an airy feel to it. And shadows. Good. Just go right straight across. And I'm not pushing very hard so my red paint will still come through. Just very gently. Get that little bit of an airy look. And come down here a little bit. Just whatever's left over on my brush. And if I haven't got enough, I'll pick up a bit more. And I'll just come in. I'm barely touching my canvas because I don't want to put big blobs of black on it. You can also water that paint down if you want to just put on little bits. Okay, so just a little bit here and there. See? Alright. It kind of brings the moon out a bit better too. I think that's enough, but you can put on as much as you want. Just want to make it into a fun painting. So, when you're happy with that, then you can start on adding the different things that you want to put in there. So I'll show you a couple of things that I'm going to do, and you can also add your own. So all we need is the handy dandy chalk again, and we're going to mark out some things that we want in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a tree in here. So I rather do it this way first. That way if I don't like it, I can always take it out. I can always wipe it out and restart. But you want to make a tree that's kind of squiggly, so it looks kind of scary. And you can bring it over the moon like that. See? And that way then you'll be able to put in some really nice branches. Some branches coming down over the tree. Some branches coming out here. And then you'll have little branches coming off the bigger branches. You want to leave some room over here for your witch. Okay, good. So we'll just make some lines here. These are just markers to help you decide where you're going to put your tree and your branches and how many branches you would like to have. So we'll put some more up here. Good. So you can have as many as you want. Good. So get as many chiseled edge brushes that you have there, so you can try out different ones, see what works for you, and some liner brushes, okay, for the smaller branches. So just get some pure black paint right from the tube. This is one way you can use pure black paint. The blacker the better because it's a silhouette. And just put some paint on both sides of your brush. Alright, and make sure it's nice and chiseled edge. And then because you have those lines there, it should be much easier for you to get. So standing on your chiseled edge, follow that line. Touch, push, and go over that line. And this will be your tree. It's okay to see chalk marks. So we'll get rid of those after. So as you're coming into the moon, lift up a little bit on your chiseled edge to make it even thinner. Okay. Might be a little tricky. You might have to practice first or whatever. You might have to do it. So try to do it your best so you won't have to, because once you go in your moon, if you have too much black in there, it's hard to correct. So let's just go here, pull up, and as you come in, pull up, make it thin, and then up here, and make your lines a little squiggly. Alright, so there we go. So the chisel edge is doing great, as long as you lift up a little bit. I have another one here, so just touch on the chiseled edge and don't push too hard this time because you're into the moon, so you want them nice and thin. So just barely touch your canvas, just be gentle and easy and let those good. Get a few of those in the bigger branches first. That's what you're doing, you're getting the bigger branches first. And we'll put all those little tiny squiggly ones on. Alright. Just as many as you want, as long as you leave some room for your witch to fly over the moon, or your cow, or whatever you want there. And a bat. Whatever you can think of. If you want to make this a little bigger, you can. Good. See if there's anywhere else you want it. Just stay on your chiseled edge, you should be okay. Alright, so these lines here that I'm pulling out are just going to be for our little tiny ones. Now for the small ones, let's try a liner brush. So you may have to lay your hand down to get the smallest you can, so just pull out some little tiny, see? Very gentle. Good, so little tiny ones coming out. Now if you're having a problem making those little tiny edges there with a brush, you can also use a marker, a black marker. Okay, so, or a pen, but it'll have to be black. So if you're having a hard time with your brush, don't fret. Just keep making these lines as best you can. I'll show you now with a pen or let me see, maybe a marker. Let's try with a black colored pencil. Let's just see what happens there. So, black colored pencil. Yeah, it works great. Look at that. So you can get all these little tiny lines. Make them squiggly though. If that's not black enough, we can try. Let's try a marker. Now you get markers with tinier tops than this one. They're more like pens. And these are, let's see. Yep, they work pretty good. Just don't push too hard, but the top is a little bit thick for what I want to do. But it still works good. So use whatever you think works for you. I find that the colored pencil is not quite dark enough. You notice that? See? So you want to get something nice, just as black as your paint, which is a nice black marker or a black pen. So continue on putting on your little lines. So it's starting to look pretty good. Now you have your tree over your moon. And I probably would make these lines in here thinner than what they are because I was doing a video. I think I pushed a little hard and I don't want to redo everything again. It would take hours. So I'm just going to tell you, when you're doing these in here, if you could make them even tinier, it would be good, but they look pretty good. They don't have to be exactly the same as my painting that I did before. So continue on putting some little squiggly lines up here. Squiggle, squiggle. There we go. Just keep going back and forth with your squiggles. Decide where you want them. Put as many on as you got patience to put on. The more you put on, the better. Okay, so now we're going to continue on with making some objects that you want in your Halloween. Now you can do whatever you want. You can have a castle or anything you want. So I'm just going to make a little hill here for a little house I'm going to put over here. Just going to make a little hill right here. That's for a cat right here. The house you can draw yourself. Just make a little roof like a letter A. And we'll just make a couple of squiggly lines coming in and out and in and out. Okay, and then you can also make a couple of little windows and a little door. So there. So we'll paint that in now. So just get your black paint on a small flat chiseled edge brush and paint that in. Now, like I said, if you want to use black markers to do some of the black, if you find it hard doing it with a brush, you can certainly use black markers. You know, but if you want it to be an acrylic painting, use paint. Or you can use an acrylic painting marker. This is an acrylic painting marker. I hadn't showed you in my another couple of videos I had there on easy, quick ways to do a painting and save time. So these are great for, you know, for lining out small areas, but if you want to try it, it makes it so much faster. And it is acrylic paint, so it will act as acrylic paint if you need to blend it or change it in some way. But I do find they're pretty good, but I don't think they're as black as the acrylic paint itself at the tube. But you could try it, you know. And so you can go right over that without worrying about, because some people have a hard time working with a brush, especially if you can't work with your hands real well. There's some people who can't work with their hands real well, you know. So I find my hand shakes also. So at times, you know, with small areas, trying to keep things. But getting around that window would be a help to have a marker. See? So you can shape up your house whatever way you want it. Okay. There we go. It's a funny little house. That's okay. Okay, good. So when you get your house done, then you can start on that little piece of ground that we have here and just take your chiseled edge brush. I wouldn't do this with the marker. I'd use the paint on the bigger areas, because the marker doesn't. It's a nice marker and everything, but I think it dries a little more flat than the tube paints. So, and it is a little easier. You won't get too many streaks with your brush. But any small areas you want to use, your markers or pens, black pens, anything black. Okay, just go over there like that. Yep. It's just a small area just to give it, see those chalk marks, they can come off easily. Just to give you some idea. Here we go. Coming along.